What's up? This is Jeff from BKJmacTV, and this is episode 11. This episode is a little controversial. It's about the N-word. Now, you know what the N-word is, so I'm not really gonna say the word like that, but basically, the N-word that has been made popular recently by popular culture and hip-hop. The N-word has been redefined. They took out the ER, which was filled with so much hate and bigotry, and tried to turn it into something cool in the 70s and beyond by putting the A at the end. You know, my homie, my N, my this, my that. But little did black folks know that they basically, even though they had redefined the word, it's still, the sound didn't change. It still contained that sting that many black folks before their time had to deal with. The racism, the hate, the visceral, everything. And it was just such a bad word. I've seen it in the media being censored. I heard it on the radio being censored. In fact, I worked for a councilman named Leroy Comrie. He was a councilman in Queens, and he basically made it a public campaign back in 2007 to basically censor that word in New York radio. He got tired of hearing the N-word a lot. He got tired of it, and to the point where he got a bill through the city council, and they basically suspended the use of that word. They blanked that word out. And eventually, other cities and towns and states started picking up the word until the FCC, which is the agency that's in charge of the radio, basically said, you know what, officially we are banning the use of the N-word over the radio and television. No longer will the N-word be used anymore. And I was happy about that. It was an exciting moment. We no longer had to deal with the N-word being heard on the radio or on television anymore. However, there are many rap artists that are still using the word in their rhymes and their raps and stuff like that. Few new rappers are changing it up. They're using, oh, that's my man's, that's the homie, oh, that's the gang, using different words for term of endearment. And that's what it was used originally for by certain members of the black community and the hip hop community. They call the N-word with the A at the end as a term of endearment. Jay-Z described it as a term of endearment, but little did they know, even though it's such a so-called term of endearment, it still predicated itself on violence. It made it much easier to dehumanize a fellow human being by using the N-word a lot and making it easier to kill somebody, as opposed to just using the word my brother, oh, that's my homie, oh, that's the gang, that's my bro, and stuff like that. So now it was just like, it just made it easy to kill. Now they're starting to some members of the hip hop group in the community are switching the word out. They're saying that's my bro, that's my guy, that's the gang. They're slowly changing the word out. They're shifting the N-word out because they understand the N-word represents hate. And when you continue using the N-word, when a rapper continues using the N-word in his or her lyric, he or she is basically giving rise and continued support and oxygen to the N-word. And these rappers are continuing the life support of this N-word that's still around to this day. And honestly, it needs to fade away. It needs to go away. It needs to be buried forever. Completely. The N-word is disgusting. I remember there was this HBO piece that I saw back in 2004, and it was a street gang member from the Bloods. He was being interviewed, and he said that basically it's easier to kill a fellow black person when you dehumanize them and use the N-word. Kill this bitch ass and this and that and this and that. It basically dehumanizes the values that person, makes it easier for that black youth to kill that other black youth. But when you switch it to brother, and that's what he said, it made him think for a minute. It's like, why would I want to kill my brother for? And that's the idea, and that's the poison effects the N-word has in the black community. It's like a disease. It just lingers around. It won't go away. It just harbors around wherever it goes. It just latches itself. It's a community. It latches on into communities, and it creates division. It creates cast down images from white folks to us. White folks looking at us, and they'd be like, "Well, why are we using the N-word on ourselves if it's such a bad word?" And they're saying that, and they get mad by it because some of them say they can't use it, and they know why they can't use it. And the fact that a white person has to come on and say, "Oh, why can I not use it?" That's pretty stupid. I remember I was in the park the other day, and there was these dudes, Indian descent. Basically, they were going around using the N-word, and I told them, stop using the N-word. And he said, "Oh, it's a free country. I could say whatever I want." And I said, "You can't say the N-word. It's not accepted. You're not allowed to say it." And he was ready to fight me over the issue. I was like, "Yo, I'm done with this game." I threw the ball and I said, "I'm done." And I walked off the court. I was like, not only were they not good, but the fact that they were just using the N-word like so recklessly, it was so disgusting. These dudes are going around thinking that, because they're brown and they grew up in a black neighborhood, they feel like they can use the N-word as a term of endearment. But it's like, you're not black, so don't use the N-word. Simple as that. If you're Latin, don't use the N-word. Just because you got Puerto Rican in your family, or Dominican in your family, or Mexican in your family, that doesn't give you a right to use the N-word. You're not like, that's not you. The N-word is such a bad word. It just dehumanizes, and it just devalues an individual, especially a member of the black community. That's why slowly but surely rappers are switching the word out, and they're bringing in bros, the homie, that's the gang, that's the guy right there. It sounds so much better. It sounds so more cohesion and unity within our black race. So honestly, I think we're working hard, and we're far away. We're not perfect yet, but we're far away. And I feel that eventually we will phase out of this N-word once and for all, and we'll be able to move into a world where black communities are embracing each other with better terms of endearment. Because it's just bad. It's sad, and we need to just get rid of it. Everybody, every member of the black community needs to come together and say, we don't want to use that word no more. That word, we need to retire that word, even though it's a term of endearment that got remixed into that. We need to come together and say, nah, enough is enough. We're retiring that word. We're using better words for terms of endearment. And we're making sure everybody, every person of color from that's in the black community feel appreciated and not degraded by that word. I had a plan one time basically to find record companies that allow rap artists to use the N-word in the studio. Basically, major studios get fined $3,000, while minor studios and minor labels get fined $1,500 for every time they use the word. So the idea is, use the word. If you want to use the word, you get fined for it. That's it. The only time you shouldn't get fined if you're making a historical album, which is a period piece, because then you're reflecting on the time and stuff and whatnot and the nature of it and what you're trying to do. But other than that, aside from the artistry point of view, shouldn't really be using that word. It's just such a horrible word. It's just such a horrible, dehumanizing word. It needs to be buried. It needs to go away. I am a proud proponent of anybody that's trying to get rid of the N-word from the vocabulary of black folks throughout the United States. I ain't just talking about New York, I'm talking about Illinois, I'm talking about New Jersey, I'm talking about Connecticut, I'm talking about Florida, and I'm talking about Texas, and I'm talking about all these places. We gotta stop the N-word. We gotta stop the N-word. It's not a good word for the black community. It does not define us as black folks in this neighborhood. In many neighborhoods, it doesn't. It's a disgusting, hateful word that needs to be buried once and for all. Tell me if you agree. Tell me if you don't. Let me know. Thank you for listening. I appreciate y'all. This is Jeff from BKJmac Live. Please follow my YouTube as well. Thank you. Peace. Love. As always. One.